What's up, guys? So it's me. I'm back. It's been about roughly a week since I posted my last story. Today, what I want to do is I want to go over me just a little bit, right? So when I was young, and I'm not talking about as a baby, but when I was young, I was always brought up into the world of hunting. That was what I wanted to do with my life. Was eventually become either a game and fish warden, a forest ranger, or some kind of outdoor, like a guide. You know what I mean, for a outfitter. I'd always wanted to do that. Let me fix this real quick. So, what's funny is when I grew up, I always would see my dad leave the house, and he would be like, he'd be leaving at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I would wake up almost every time he did, and I'd be like, take me with you, I want to go. I never got the chance until I was about 8, and I loved it. I loved it, and that was when I got my first. I was gifted my first knives. I was gifted my first gun, which was a BB gun. It was so much fun. You know what I mean? So much, and I fell in love with the act of harvesting and stalking my own meals immediately. Just fell in love with it. But I want to explain. I want to talk about the day that I was shot. So I was just going into my sophomore year of high school. I had everything going for me. I was a wrestler on the. I was involved in my wrestling team at my school. I had a really good freshman year as a wrestler, so they were expecting me to either do really good JV or at least break into varsity for a few matches, and I loved it. And I was also on the side as a extracurricular hobby I was doing is I was doing Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, so another form of wrestling, but just with mixed martial arts instead of wrestling. So when I was 15, like I said, I was just and at this point I just barely turned 15. But like I said, my wrestling team was like one of the most cared about things in my life at the time. You know what I mean? My team and everything about it, everything about the sport, everything about my progression with it, my ambition. It drove me to be who I am today, even, but especially back then. And that was the other thing is I kind of fell into this line of being a jock. So people thought I was stupid, or they knew I was cocky, they knew I was arrogant, they knew that they had to stay away from me because I had not only the full wrestling team behind me, but I was also a badass wrestler myself. So it was like, and there was always fights happening in my school. I don't know why. Like, we had a really nice high school, and there was always fights happening, but nobody messed with us. You know what I mean? And if they tried to, they found out pretty quick how bad it was for them. So, regardless, all that being said, I'm gonna detail one story here, and I'm actually writing my own book on this because this is the event that was the first massive turning point in my life. So, I had gone out with my cousin, my younger cousin. So my older cousin, the first one, he was about 2 years older than me, 2.5 years older than me. I love him and I admire him to this day. Same with my younger cousin. He's got an amazing spirit about him. My younger cousin's amazing. He's just a very sweet, kind person. And then my uncle, so their dad. So there was the four of us as family members, and then they brought a gentleman that I will refer to as Steve, which is their cousin, and I'm related to him by marriage. I'm not directly related to them, and his dad, so their uncle, right? So their cousin and their uncle. I'm not related to either of these two dudes. I'm related to these three. So I had like just last minute with my older cousin the night before decided, okay, let's go out hunting. I was staying the night with him, and we're like I said, I was 15. My older cousin's about 17. We just decided it would be a fun thing at the time, like a super fun thing, and so I even had wrestling practice later that day because leading into the season, it's like a very heavy duty. Like we're gonna condition, at least condition every single day. So 7 days a week, I was doing some kind of wrestling practice. So I was expected to be back to the facility by like 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock that night. So we had plenty of time to go out hunting in the morning, and we were going out for dove. So we were hunting dove, and dove season had just opened up. I had been in my sophomore year for about a month and a half, and uh, it was like right around mid mid September, I think, maybe late September, was around the time frame that we had done this trip. So it was still very hot because we live in Arizona. So it's still very hot, and we went to Florence, which is even further south. So it was even hotter, and it was in the middle of the desert. And I'll tell you right now, I've never seen full blown gun negligence like I did that day with Steve. I'm not going to say his real name because I'm not going to defame him. He's learned a lot since then, and I have no ill will towards the kid at all. And we're actually the exact same age. He's 2 days older than me, I think, is what it is. I might be 2 days older than him. I'm not sure, but it's a 2 day separation between our births. But because of how close I am to that extended part of my family, and because of how close they are to that extended part of their family, I've grown up with them. You know what I mean? In a sense. So I go out hunting, and as you can tell, I've got a deer rack on my wall. I love hunting. I'm a huge hunter. There's just something about it that, ever since I was just a small child, it always clicked. You know. But I'll start the day off by when we got to the first gas station. So we all met up and we all left the house like right around 4:30 in the morning, I think, maybe 5, like right before the break of dawn, and we were gonna take one of the highways directly east and then go all the way down to Florence, which is a small prison town. And Florence is known for the dairy and like the dairies and the farmland and everything that is perfect for dove hunting. And dove is a specific type of bird. It's a migratory bird species, and there's several species, subspecies of them that you're allowed to hunt. But overall, for the entire species, when you go out dove hunting, you have a specific bag limit, no matter what type of dove they are, whether they're mourning dove or white winged dove or whatever. It's one of those things where you have to have a specific bag limit, and it's a game and fish regulated thing. So and they up the limit at different points in the season or down the limit at certain points in the season. And for this day, I'm pretty certain we had a limit of 6 birds per person. And I vividly remember for sure that not everybody got 6, but I know I did. Yeah, I bagged out. So, and I was proud of that. But so I was a high school wrestler, and I thought I had the world by its balls. You know what I mean? Like I thought I had the world at my fingertips. I thought I was untouchable. You know, my coaches. I was coming into sophomore year, and my coaches were telling me that I should be a part of the varsity team, and I should try out for varsity. I had a lot of really cool things going for me. And not only that, but I also had, there were these girls that, I mean, I never dated any of them, and I never, like, made any one of them my girlfriend, but I was interested in these girls. They were interested in me. There were several of them that came to see me when I was in the hospital, but there was even more at the school that I was like, I couldn't wait to see because we'd been texting or we'd been talking back and forth, whatever. One of them even wrote a letter to me. So to get back to the hospital, so yeah, when I was 15, at this time in my life, we had decided to go on a hunting trip. I was staying the night with my cousin at his folks' house, and we asked his dad, my uncle. We were like, "Hey, are you are you down to go hunting tomorrow? And it was for dove, obviously, and like I stated, but it's a hard thing to kind of recount because I have to kind of relive it every time I go through it. But and I also dream about it. I have like these dreams about it. I don't call them nightmares anymore. I used to call them nightmares, but I have these dreams about them where they wake me up almost every time I fall into that dream because I relive that day over and over and over and over whenever I dream. And it used to be every time I fell asleep, but now I probably have that dream maybe 2 or 3 times a week. So it's not bad. I'm 26 now. I love what I do for a job. I love my career, and I have nothing but ambition. Like I'm on the verge of being promoted again. I've been promoted once already. I'm on the verge of being promoted again, and I can't wait until my fifth or sixth promotion. You know what I mean? Like that's how much I love what I do and the people that I work with and the company that I work for. So all that being said, so just to give a brief glimpse into what happened. We all stopped at the gas station. We'd stocked up on whatever we needed, and then we went straight out. And when we got there, we formed a line. So the first instance of us actually harvesting dove, when we got out there, we found one spot. We mapped it out, and we were like, okay, this is a decent spot to be. It's all flat. It was like old farmland that, I mean, it had some growth on it, but not a whole bunch of brush like you see in the desert. And I remember we all spread out, and I thought we were gonna spread out evenly, but for some reason, the gentleman that I'll refer to as Steve, my cousin's cousin, he decided. So I was the furthest one away, and he just kept walking towards me. I was like, dude, stop. And I also had a minor knee surgery that I was working off of. So I had a leg brace and everything. I had torn my meniscus, my cartilage in my knee, while I was wrestling, and so I was rehabbing. I was in the middle of rehabbing that when I was out hunting, and what was wild is the thing I remember the most, and this is a very clear memory for me. Everything that happened that day, just about, is a very clear memory. But one of the most clear things from that day is I saw Steve. So I was watching because I saw all this motion. I'm like, what is going on down there? And I looked down there, and he's got his shirt wrapped up in his gun, his shotgun, and all of a sudden, boom! It fired, and it was like waist height, like literally shooting dead in front of him. And I was like, what the fuck just happened, bro? And I was about to ask him, like, what are you doing, when the gun went off? Come to find out, he was just dicking around with his gun, not paying attention, not being smart, and he very easily could have shot somebody that at that point. You know what I mean? But he didn't. I'm shocked he didn't. And I'm shocked he didn't shoot anybody else accidentally that day either, because turns out the gun was competition grade, so it was a match grade gun, not meant for hunting dove. You know what I mean? Like what you use for dove is like a traditional pump shotgun, like a and boom, boom, or a semi-automatic where you load, and that's the thing. Is the legal limit to holding your magazine tube with a hunter's block in Arizona. The legal limit of shells that you can hold in your gun at any one time is 2 + 1, so three rounds. That's it. But he had an over/under shotgun. That's what it's called, and technically it's another version of a double barrel shotgun. So instead of it looking like this and having two barrels horizontally laid next to each other, they're like this, and that's how you fire. It's like this, right? And the barrel breaches just like any other double barrel shotgun. You have a switch, and you turn that switch, and it boom switches and it ejects the shells, and then you load two more, and it holds two. So, and it was a 12 gauge shotgun. He didn't even know that it was a match grade shotgun, a competition grade shotgun. But we were all like, what the hell just happened when he first had the first misfire? So a misfire is when you unintentionally fire a gun. Okay, there's two types of misfire. There's machine caused misfire or machine error, and then there's user error and user caused misfire. And his was very obviously user caused misfire. And it was very weird to watch, but nonetheless, we just for some reason the adults didn't do anything about it. They just kept going about the day, as did we, the children. So mind you, I'm a 15-year-old walking around. My whole mantra is that I'm a badass wrestler. Nobody messes with me at school. For some reason, like I said, I've got a nice, like at the time I was going to a really nice high school, and for some reason everybody wanted to fight. It was just the cool thing to do. They had fight nights every weekend or every other weekend, but if a wrestler showed up or the wrestlers showed up, they all ran. Like nobody wanted to fight us, and so you know, we didn't even take part in that because some of these kids were getting arrested. I mean, it was a stupid thing. But what was funny is, not funny, but pretty, negligent, actually very negligent, was the fact that neither of the adults at that time, when the first misfire happened, because it shot in the whole, like the dirt area about 10 yards in front of him, completely just exploded. You know what I mean? It's like what would happen when you shoot a 12 gauge shotgun at the ground. And everybody was like, dude, what the hell? You okay? Like, what happened? And I was watching, so I had literally turned my head and started watching about 2 seconds before the gun had gone off. And I was watching it, and I'm like, what the fuck is he? Like, that was my first thought. And then all of a sudden, boom! And I saw the gun. I saw him, because he had his shirt tangled up in the gun. I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? And for some reason, he thought there was a scratch or something on the gun, and he was like trying to get it from. But I was like so confused because he had two loaded shells in his gun. So I was so lost. Nonetheless, nobody was harmed, thankfully, thank God, in that situation. But moving forward, so we had all found a new spot after this incident, right? We'd all found a new area, and we decided to go to like a spot that was further down the road with much thicker brush. I had bagged a couple of birds. My older cousin bagged a couple of birds. My uncle bagged a bird or two, and Steve didn't bag any. He hadn't bagged any yet. I truly to this day believe that he had no idea what he was doing with that gun, and I don't think I think it was a mix of just the sheer lack of knowledge that he had for guns, but also the fact that that was a gun that was not meant for his hands. You know what I mean? Like that's not a gun that you give to just anybody. That's a gun you give to somebody that's a professional, or at least that they know how to use a damn gun. Not a 15-year-old kid that is going out dove hunting for the first time in his life. At this point, I'd already been dove hunting probably a dozen times. You know what I mean? And I was 50. I was his exact same age. So now, like I said, I'm not defaming him. I'm not slandering him. The kid has come a long way, but him and I are also on two completely different trajectories in life. He's already got like a master's in college, and I work for a major retailer as a manager. So you know what I mean. We just live two different lifestyles. I'm blue collar, he's white collar, but we knew that that's what was going to be happening even back then. You know what I mean? Like we knew that those were the trajectories we were both heading down even back then. Just like my older cousin, he falls much more in line with what I do than he falls in line with what his other cousin does. It's a weird, and that's just one reason why we never clicked the way me and my older cousin do, even though we're a lot closer in age, is because he was just on a different trajectory in life than I was, and me for him. So I understand that. But so he had two misfires that day. First one, thank my heavenly Father, thank God that he didn't kill somebody or severely harm somebody. He didn't. The second one, so I was at the back of the truck. The back of the truck was parked, and everybody had gone separate ways. And here's the truck, right? It's not really a truck. It's a SUV. It's a Ford Expedition, 4-wheel drive. So here's the back of it, like the body of it, with the bumper going down like right here, and with a trailer hitch down here. That's important. The trailer hitch, and then the hatch of it, the back hatch is open, and they left the back hatch open for anybody to come through. Once somebody finished up, they could sit under the shade and get a camp chair, get some water, whatever. Put their birds up. We did. So that's what I did. And so here's the back of the truck. Here's me with my legs, and I'm leaning up against the truck. And I just put my gun away, no cartridges in it, and just put my birds away. Next thing you know, I hear Steve coming around the corner, and he's like, he does something in the truck, and then boom, everything goes black for me. As black as my shirt. I had no sense. I had no sense about me. I had no feeling about me. And then when I came to, which Steve told me was about 10 seconds, my leg, I was no longer standing on two legs like this. My leg was completely curled up and furled up like that. It looked like it looked like and felt like how like when you kill a spider, they're like this. You know what I mean? Like they're curled up, their legs curl in like this. That's what it looked like. And I didn't realize I was in trouble until I looked down and until I felt what I felt. So I felt it first. I know that. And then I looked down. I felt this feeling of wetness, and it felt like I just pissed my pants. I was like, "What the fuck did I just do?" Because mind you, I'm coming out of this unconscious state of shock, and I looked down, and my leg is curled up. I couldn't move it, and I had this searing hot pain in it, and there's nothing but blood just gushing out of my leg, like literally blood was pooling out of my leg underneath me, and it's hard. It's even hard to think about sometimes because of how gruesome it was. But at the same time, I lived, and I'm grateful for that. And I'm going to talk more on this, and I'm going to give you guys some more detail to it. But I want to kind of keep this as a series almost. Stay tuned. My name is Connor Royer, and this is the day that I got shot. It was September. I think it was like actually now I know it was like early to mid September, like September 10th of 2012 when I got shot. So, and like I said, I will pick up right where I left off on this story when I come back to my channel. So, please hit the like, hit the subscribe. I want to see my channel blow up, and because there's some amazing things that I want to try and do. I want to try and spread awareness about something that I will share in my next video. But I also wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about me, about who I am. I'm very proud of who I am. I'm very proud of my family. I'm proud of what I've done with my life so far, especially with the obstacles that I've overcome. But I know I'm not done. I know I'm not done. Please hit that like and subscribe. Love y'all. Peace.